Hi peeps, I'm so excited to do kind of a fun and lighthearted tag video today. I was watching Jess Reads Cards on YouTube. I will put the link to her channel and the video that inspired this participation in the tarot bartender tag. But anyhow, I was watching her video and was so inspired by this tag, which was created by the lovely Sapling Tarot over on Instagram. I will also put her information in the description box below. She created this lovely tag called Tarot Bartender, and it looks like so much fun, and I cannot wait to do this. And I did set kind of a little bit of a challenge for myself with this. I wanted to use only the decks that I have while traveling. And I do have one caveat to that. I do have my Ritual Tarot with me somewhere. Spoiler alert, she makes the list. But I could not locate it to show. But other than the Ritual Tarot, every other deck is a deck that I have brought with me as part of my traveling witchcraft practice and my job as a reader that have made this lovely, lovely list. So please, and I should say, part of why I'm so joyous to be doing this and why I've so enjoyed either watching on YouTube or seeing on Instagram other readers who've participated is I love a great cocktail. I love the art of a well-crafted cocktail, and I love making them when I have company over, or even just for myself to enjoy with the perfect book or the perfect horror movie in the evening. I really love a well-crafted cocktail, and I love an amazing tarot deck. So that being said, let's get into the tag because it is a long tag, and as you know, I am a rambly ass witch. So we start with the old-fashioned. This is your favorite classic tarot deck or a riff on the classic tarot deck. So when I think classic, I think Rider-Waite-Smith. And the deck that I chose for this is the Aquarian Tarot. This is a deck that I actually use personally almost every single day because it travels with me in my car in the glove box. Both my son and I love to work with this deck. And I like that kind of faded 70s color theme and feel to this, while it is in keeping with the original imagery and card meanings of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And so it's something that is very enjoyable and easy to read and work with. And it's a classic. It's an old-fashioned. It's one of those decks and or drinks that you can work with. And it doesn't matter what bar you walk into, they've heard of this particular cocktail. I should say as well that if I do read at a bar, which I have done for friends over the years, I bring the Aquarian Tarot in with me because I have the compact travel size. But I love the Aquarian Tarot, and it's such a great classic. So my old-fashioned is the Aquarian Tarot by David Palladini. And the size that I'm showing is the travel size that's published by US Games. It comes in a really nice tin. I think it cost $10 on Amazon a couple years ago. Really, really love this one. Okay, next on the list is my absolute favorite cocktail of all time. That is the gin and tonic. So I am a huge Hendrick's gin girl, or Tamworth Distillery, which is in New Hampshire. I am also a fan of their gin. I am very picky about my gin. I'm very bougie about my gin. I invest in it. I don't like cheap gin. I don't drink Tanqueray, even though I love Amy Winehouse. I really, really love high-end gin. It's enjoyable to I don't know, it's so hipster of me. I know, it's my generation, but I really love the flavor profiles in a well-crafted, high-quality gin. And a gin and tonic is where your investment in high quality gin really pays off because there's so much to explore and enjoy in this profound classic cocktail. So in the tag, this is listed as a simple deck for quick and to the point readings. And my choice for this one is Claire Goodchild's Antique Anatomy Tarot. Visually, I just love this deck. And I love how easy it is to get right to the heart of the matter. I love how this deck feels in my hands, so it's a go-to for me. It's one that I when I need a straight up answer and I maybe only have a few minutes, this deck is that sweet spot for me. It's quick, it's clear, it's to the point, it's delicious, it's delightful to look at. It's not too overwhelming. There isn't too much going on in the artwork. It's very classic, but it's also ephemeral, and it's a little bit odd, and it's a little bit weird, to use the word everyone on the planet seems to be using way too much right now. So for me, this deck is just like a classic gin and tonic. It's straight, it's to the point, it's enjoyable, it's gorgeous, and it can go anywhere with me, and it's not overly wordy, it's not too sure of itself. It's like someone in their 40s. They just know who they are. The Antique Anatomy Tarot is the gin and tonic for me. Okay, so next on the list is a Spritz. Now, of course, when I think of a Spritz, as far as cocktails go, I think of an Aperol Spritz. And a lot of things come to mind for me over the years of being bought Aperol Spritz at bars, because for some reason, I don't know, heterosexual men seem to think Aperol Spritz are where it's at if they want to get laid. I don't know, it's interesting. But anyhow, I think of an Aperol Spritz for this, and the keywords here are a deck to cheer you up. And for this, I chose the Abyssal Tarot. When I think of an Aperol Spritz, there's like a bitterness at the end of that cocktail that can be pretty potent. And not only that, but you've got that bit of Prosecco or champagne in there that's also like effervescent and kind of summery. But there's that bitterness at the end. There's that kind of sharpness, that kind of citrus sharpness at the end. And I really like the Abyssal Tarot for how it is comforting but also confronting. And it's very atmospheric and moody. And so, like I said, for me, Aperol Spritzes, they're cheery, they're social, but there's like a little undercurrent there. And for me, the Abyssal Tarot is very comfortable with that undercurrent, and it can really have great conversation with you in the same way that I think Aperol Spritz is a chatty cocktail that wants to be seen, shared, explored, expressed. And I think the Abyssal Tarot by Shelley Corbett is such a great freaking, this is one of my favorite decks of all time, and there's just something really special about this one. And in the same way that Aperol Spritz has a special place in my mind that's reserved for certain memories. You know, it's not a drink I have all that often. It's never a drink I buy for myself, and it's associated with certain memories in my life. So the Abyssal Tarot is a deck of memories and nostalgia seen in the underwater element, and the abyss and the underworld. So I love this deck for Spritz. Now, of course, there are so many different Spritz cocktails, you know, that are spritzy in nature. So, but for me, that's the one that comes to mind anytime I hear the word Spritz in a cocktail. So next we have Dirty Martini, strong and salty, a deck that doesn't hold back. For me, that is the Witch Sister Tarot. So I chose Julia Jeffries' Witch Sister Tarot for Dirty Martini. Oh my God, a dirty martini in the right mood can be so good. And yes, I usually have gin and not vodka for mine. But this deck is much like a dirty martini, salty, strong. It tells you the truth, and it really gets to like the heart, the root of the matter. In the same way that after you have a martini or two, it becomes very easy to get quite loquacious and share secrets and you know, look at the dark underpinnings of life experience. I love dirty martinis for that kind of bold, self-aware vibe, right? And I think that the Witch Sister Tarot understands there's a grittiness to the human experience. There's also our magic, and our magic can be dark as well as light. And when we are in alignment with the ancestors and we're walking our path, there's a power and a way of seeing beyond the veil that's very different. And the Witch Sister Tarot really speaks to that. And so if I was going to associate her with a cocktail, it would absolutely be the Dirty Martini. So that is the Witch Sister Tarot by Julia Jeffries. Then we had Let me see, let me go to the next slide there. Then we had Pina Colada, which was a deck for a summer holiday. So I had to sit with this one for a few because summer is not my favorite season. And I don't really go on holiday. I certainly have not this summer. But when I think of going on holiday in a warm month or a warm locale, I think of like feeling youthful and being in maiden energy and wanting to be curious and try new things, right? Like, but I also want to feel a little bit lazy. And that makes me think of the woods in a strange way. I don't know why, but like that then brings like when I'm in the woods and I just kind of slow down and I get meditative, but it's not always a dark meditative space. It can be that light warmth of the sun coming through the trees. So for me, when I thought about Pina Colada, like what would be my deck for a summer holiday, I went with Kara Small's Tarot of the Enchantress, Tarot of the Huntress, Tarot of the Huntress, let me clarify that, which is connected to the goddess Artemis, and it very much has huntress and forest vibes. So for me, even like the color palette too is kind of like, I don't know, if I was going to go on summer holiday, it would be to Italy or Spain or something like that. I would want to go to a place like that. And so I like these colors because they, in a way, are kind of Baroque in their feel to me. And, you know, I would want to be in those cathedrals and I would want to be exploring that. So for me, my Pina Colada is the Tarot of the Huntress by Kara Small. I'm really, really enjoying working with this deck. I did an unboxing of this recently, and since then, I've been working with her, and she's definitely a summer deck as I've purchased her in the summer. So that is Tarot of the Huntress, and that is my Pina Colada drink. Then we have Hot Toddies, which I have to say, a very, very beloved tarot sister of mine. We had a wonderful tea and tarot date where we made hot toddies, each in our own respective place while we met virtually. And I had so much fun going out of my comfort zone, crafting the hot toddy cocktail for myself. An interesting side story to this is my father is a great deal older than most people's parents are. He was 40 when I was born. And when I used to get really sick as a child, instead of giving us like children's cough syrup or whatever, he would actually make a hot toddy, and my brother and I would end up drinking the hot toddy, and we would just like sleep for 12 hours. So I have this very kind of medicinal connection to hot toddy as well as a cocktail, like of it being taken when you were sick, right? So I have these kind of really beautiful memories around hot toddies as a cocktail. And it is something, if you are in a cold climate and you go into a bar and get a hot toddy, you can get some really interesting and unique takes from various bartenders on what they put into a hot toddy. And I'm not sure if Hunt and Alpine still offers hot toddies in the winter, but if you're ever in Portland, Maine, and you go to Hunt and Alpine and get a hot toddy there, or Vina's Cocktail Bar, they have a really great hot toddy as well, both very different flavor profiles. That's quite enjoyable to experience. New England knows their hot and warm cocktails well. So for me, the hot toddy is the Darkwood Tarot by Sasha Graham with artwork by Abigail Larson. Why is this my hot toddy? Because when I want to drink a hot toddy, I want something that warms my heart, that makes me feel loved, and that brings that heat to it, right? Not only is it a warm drink, but the alcohol that you're imbibing is by nature one that kind of like warms you up in the chest area. And for me, the Darkwood Tarot is all about connection to those staples of being a witch and following your own path of irreverence and magic, and a path that is in alignment with the goddess and the sacred feminine. It also has a very woods and forest vibe. Can you tell that this is my woods and forest here? So for me, if a deck were a hot toddy, it would be the Darkwood Tarot. This again is another one of my all-time favorite tarot decks. And I just love the way it makes me think about autumn and the woods. And again, following a path as a witch. It also, with its traditional Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, is very user-friendly in the same way that I think hot toddies are a cocktail that a lot of different people can enjoy, for sure. So the Darkwood Tarot is my hot toddy on the cocktail list. Okay, next on the list, Espresso Martini, a deck to energize or pep you up. I do not enjoy espresso martinis. I don't drink them. But when I think of the phrase, so like for me, if to think of like an espresso martini, am I going to make that a deck I love? Not necessarily, because I don't enjoy espresso martinis. But when I think of a deck that's going to energize and pep me up, or like a really great hype deck that gets me feeling myself, and like I think of espresso martinis and I think of a bunch of women out on girls' night, right? So like for me, that is the Sistine Tarot by Rose Bay Tarot. This deck is now out of print, but this is like my ultimate hype, goddess, sister, sacred symbolism, excuse me, sacred sexuality deck. I love this deck so much. So even though I don't like this cocktail, I like the idea of this on the list and what the Espresso Martini represents. And for me, the Sistine Tarot perfectly encapsulates that energy. It peps me up, it gets me excited, it lets me feel energized in my femininity, and I feel very connected to Venus and the Magdalene, and very just sexy and irreverent and powerful when I work with this deck. So the Sistine Tarot by Rose Bay Tarot is number 7 on this list, the Espresso Martini. Okay, so then we have, I'm going to just leave that because Mercury in retrograde. I don't want to wreck my deck. Okay, so next on the list is the Manhattan. And the title for this is A Sipping Drink, a Deck to Take Your Time With. I love watching the different people that order drinks at bars. And I find a lot of times older people order Manhattans. And it's fascinating to see that they do indeed really savor the drink and take their time enjoying it. It is usually a social hour. Pre-COVID, when I lived in Portland, I used to love to go to Hunt and Alpine. I'd go like one afternoon a week, and I'd bring my book, and they always had really great snacks there. So I would like read and I'd journal, and I would watch the different people in the bars. And one of the gatherings that would happen a lot would be this older group of people who would play Scrabble, and they would order Manhattans while they played Scrabble. And it was social hour. Those drinks were savored, they were enjoyed. That was not a rushed process. It was really beautiful to watch. So I don't know if that's happened after COVID, but pre-COVID, that was a really beautiful thing to get to be in the energy of. So when it comes to Manhattan, the tarot deck that is representative of this for me is the Ritual Tarot by Tiera May. Now, I have several copies of this deck. I do have one here. I have not been able to locate it today as I'm recording, so I cannot show you, but I will put the link to purchase the Ritual Tarot in the description box below. For me, that deck is all about that sacred ritual. It's all about art, symbolism, empowerment. It holds a lot of Kali energy for me, and something about that, like savoring and being in your experience, making a ritual of your life, walking in beauty, I think is in alignment with the Manhattan drink energy. So for me, the Ritual Tarot by Tiera May is 100% my choice for the Manhattan. Okay, so then we have the mojito. I actually love a good mojito. I did live in the South for a time period in my late teens. Well, how old is that? Yeah, between 19 and 20. So I love a good mojito. And I enjoy the experience of drinking a mojito. So it was listed as a palate cleanser and a deck to reset. And I have to say that I am putting the Somnia Tarot in as my palate cleanser, because it is a deck that I don't love necessarily, but it is a palate cleanser. It does kind of reset for me as a reader, because I'm not so romantically involved with the artwork in this deck. And I have a lot of different feelings that come up in the same way that a mojito has a unique flavor profile. And if you don't enjoy them, you don't want to drink them, I think the Somnia Tarot by Nicholas Bruno is like the perfect choice for this. So when it comes to the mojito on my drink list, it is the Somnia Tarot by Nicholas Bruno that takes the prize. It most definitely is a palette cleanser and a deck that can reset for me a traditional way of reading. You know, when you think, I'm reading for clients 7 days a week right now, and so I really can get very set in my ways with card meanings. And so a deck that makes me slow down and look at a different perspective is a deck that I do value. So the Somnia Tarot is a worthy deck for this list. Okay, next on the list is a Bloody Mary, the problem solver. I love a good Bloody Mary, and I love the Bloody Marys where it's like you get a meal when you order that cocktail. I love those. Like, I am all for that hedonism. Give it to me, yes. So when we talk about Bloody Marys, the deck that feels most in alignment with that energy for me in my journey as a reader right now is the Peculiar Pathways Tarot by Lennox Reese. I love Bloody Marys are, again, another cocktail where it's like you either like them or you don't. I don't think there's like a middle ground because they're very spicy depending on if you have a well-crafted Bloody Mary with really great horseradish. There's a heat to it. And there's a sense of being able, a lot of people drink them at brunch. So there's also like this, maybe you're drinking a little bit earlier in the day than normal. It's your day off. There's kind of a curiosity and a stepping outside of daily life, like your daily schedule, that I think Bloody Marys evoke. And I like Peculiar Pathways Tarot for this because the Peculiar Pathways Tarot is unique and different and gives you a lot of bang for your buck. So for me, the Peculiar Pathways Tarot is my Bloody Mary, and I do enjoy a good Bloody Mary, but I am quite picky about my Bloody Marys. I don't like a cheap one. And I do tend to get them with gin if that's an option on the menu. I know a lot of people like a Bloody Mary with vodka, but I try to get mine with gin. Yeah, I love this deck, you know, and it's also a little bit bougie, and it's a little extra, and that's okay. We can all be extra sometimes, and the Peculiar Pathways Tarot has no problem being her colorful self. Just like a Bloody Mary is not a quiet drink. Everybody at the bar or at the restaurant knows what you ordered, right? Okay, so next on the list is one of my favorite cocktails. And I was so excited that this was included on the list. It's a French 75. I love this cocktail. It's got Prosecco in it. It's like, oh my God. And it's so, it is a celebratory cocktail. It's listed here as a deck for special occasions, but there's something like really citrusy and light about a French 75 that I well prefer over a spritzer cocktail like the Aperol Spritz. I love a French 75. And if you are in Portland, Maine, and you go to the Black Cow and order a French 75 there, that is my favorite place to get a French 75 to date. So what is the deck for special occasions? For me, the Mary L. Tarot is a French 75. It's special. I don't take her out all the time. I love and revere her. She's upside down. There's always a reason why I work with her, so she falls into the special occasion category. For me, she's also rife with religious symbolism and biblical symbolism, as well as occult tradition, such as you can find within the Thoth Tarot. And so I love this deck for that. I love this deck for that so freaking much. The Mary L. Tarot is really special in the same way that I treasure a French 75, and it's always an occasion to be enjoyed and that I don't forget. I never forget a reading with the Mary L. Tarot. It's always a big deal. Okay, so next on the list is the Aviation Cocktail. This is the wild card. It is something a little bit different. So for this, I chose, now I need to make sure I say the name of this deck right, so I did pull up the website. The Mysteries of the Black Madonna. This is an indie deck. This was gifted to me by a very dear friend and sister in the cards. Thank you, V. It is an investment deck. It is an indie deck, and it is really freaking different. It is not like the other decks. This deck is one that requires you to think outside of the box and get outside of your comfort zone. And it is really different. Titles have been changed. There's different vibes and different feelings for the cards within the traditional structure of tarot. And not only that, but we're marrying this with altars and symbolism in alignment with the Black Madonna. So it's special. It's a special, special deck, and it requires attention in new ways, presence in new ways. It's different in the same way that the aviation cocktail isn't necessarily a go-to for me, but it's something unique. It's something outside of normal drinks, normal cocktails, normal thing, something that you would have at any dive bar in the world. The aviation cocktail is different. The Mysteries of the Black Madonna Tarot is also different. It's unique. It is special. And it does ask us to slow down, to think outside of our own boxes, and to feel a sense of reverence in our path and practice. I really love this deck. I don't talk about it a great deal on the channel because it is an investment deck, and I know it's outside of the price range of many of us. I was not able to purchase this deck for myself. It was gifted to me. So I never want to make people feel like they can't have an experience unless they can invest at a certain level. But if it is accessible for you to invest in this deck, this is a unique deck. It's giving you a different experience than every other tarot deck out there. It has a very special voice. So I really love that deck, and that is my aviation cocktail. Now, my most used deck, which you all know, and I forgot to pull off my traveling altar. So let me do that now, so I knock everything over because I am a Taurus and Mercury in retrograde. My number one deck, my Frozen Margarita most used tarot deck of all time, is of course Ian Daniels' Tarot of Vampires. This is my original copy. It is so freaking old. It's still kicking. I love her. I use her every single day. I do a daily draw out of this deck every single freaking day. And it is my Frozen Margarita. It's the classic. It's the one that you gotta have. You gotta have it. You have to have it, man. It's beautiful. It's my best friend. It's my lover. It's my partner. It's my husband deck. Tarot of Vampires is my husband deck. And so of course it has to be my usual most used deck. My Frozen Margarita in the Tarot Bartender tag. This has been so much fun to do. It's been fun to share stories. I would say like my most usual, most ordered drink is the classic gin and tonic, not a Frozen Margarita, but I understand that for most people it is the usual cocktail of choice. And it's something that represents fun and enjoying yourself and enjoying life. And for me, of course, that's Tarot of Vampires. But this tag has been so much fun to do. Please consider yourself tagged if you want to participate. Again, all of the information for the tag creator and the other video I watched that inspired me to want to do a VR to this is all in the description box down below. And I hope you're having a wonderful week out there in the world. I am sending you, as always, oceans of love, and I will, of course, see you in the next video. Take care.